Okay, first project I want to share with you is it's called AIRSIDE. It's a development, a mixed-use commercial development in the new district of Hong Kong called Kai Tak. The project includes, around it there's a new stadium, there's a new residential, there's a new cruise terminal. So it's kind of, you see this interesting long piece, that's the old runway of Hong Kong Airport. So this project has been ongoing as a master planning and then now becoming a new landmark within the Kai Tak area. We're all familiar with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In this project, we touch upon quite a few of them. Like I said, from the early district, you can see 1960 was an airport as it transformed itself into this new landmark. As we went through the planning process, we want to engage a wide variety from neighborhood, nature, occupant to industry. We've done quite a few of those review to identify what is important. The project, it's a mixed use, but it's highly connected with its neighborhood. So there's a MTR, which is a local train network. There's a series of sky bridge that connects to other existing neighborhood. And we also encourage cycling. In fact, this site has Hong Kong's first automated cycling parking system. It's quite cool. You put it in and it just disappears when it goes downstairs. When you want it, use your phone, beep, it will come back out. Obviously, we have 100%. All the parking spaces in here are EV chargeable. And that's quite a first. Usually, you have 5%, 10%, but in this case, every single parking bay is EV chargeable. As we go through the process, in the beginning, we spend quite a lot of time as architect, also engineer. We were educating our team with our client, what is the leading aspects. And then when we did the structural design, we optimize it to reducing the embodied carbon and CO2 emission. We adopted smart technology. We used low carbon material, talk more about that. But as a whole, during the entire construction process, we have a very comprehensive accounting process to account for the carbon footprint of the project. Throughout the project, we have very high efficient lift. So the elevator, as it slows down and goes up, it also generates electricity. We have a very efficient lighting system. We have the largest PV farm in Hong Kong, over 1,350 square meters. You can see from there, we actually tried a new technology, which is on the ground. These are PV tiles. So you can actually work on them and use that space for outdoor activity as well. I mentioned this district is called Kai Tak. It's interesting that we have a district-wide, what we call district-wide cooling system, using the water, the seawater at the harbor to provide coolant for the entire district. So these sort of master planning strategies that Hong Kong government have been pushing. So together with the district cooling system will help us on the carbon footprint. The project actually we designed to be almost half of what the statutory requirement for Hong Kong building and Singapore. So we aim for a very high level sort of target. Besides that, we have a urban farm on the green area, some urban farming, farm to table aspects. We have a very strong recycling program within the building. Hong Kong's first smart automated collection system, refuge collecting system as well. This is interesting. As you go into this is the retail area. You can see the spandrel, that sort of rusty color piece of material is actually upcycled material. We collected plastic bottles. We're using a special process to grind it down, using the resin to recreate an upcycled material that is also fireproof, which is very important to pass the code. But we bespoke designed the fine fabric. The pattern, because the Lam Fong, the client, originally, they're from a textile background. So the fabric, the pattern we used was like a weaving pattern that reflected the heritage of the owners. And by upcycling using this material over 100,000 plastic bottles and reduce 84% of the CO2 emission compared to typical material that we use. We have a gray rainwater recycle program that we collected. Like I said, mentioned before, we have some urban farm, a lot of green deck area where you use greening. Those water get recycled and reused for irrigation as well. The project not only is it's on the hardware, but on the software side is quite strong. We have a digital twin model on ESG carbon emission tracking. We have an AI building analysis that using live data to constantly improve the system and knowing from the maintenance perspective. We have a net positive pledge. All this is aiming to meet the Hong Kong target of 2050 of net carbon zero sort of long-term goal that we want to do. So not only for the district, but for the entire portfolio of the client's company, we use the new network data system to ensure that our carbon footprint meets the target. Apart from that, we have a lot of greening with some native species and hoping to reintroduce some biodiversity in this new neighborhood as well. Right by the project on the side, there's a nullah where is a storm, because Hong Kong is also coastal, so we do worry about floods and surges, particularly when you have a 100-year cycle storm mixing with the elevated, with a high tide, it can be a problem. So we have a very strong sort of sensor around it to monitor any flooding, and also when we design, we try to create a sponge, a soft material right before this so it can almost acting like a sponge, delaying some of the runoff from the building and from the concrete around it. So when we are doing the community engagement, we went through a process to figure out the importance from the stakeholder, important for the AIRSIDE project and the neighborhood, to identify what are the key and more valuable items. Greening, public space, accessibility ranked very high, and then obviously family and children access as well. So there's a big community engagement process. We also give tour for people who want to learn about the building. We also have a lot of public space, green living that allow neighborhood and tenants to do some farming and all that. So the whole place is really quite holistic. It's not just a new design, new urban center, but it's quite sustainable throughout.